Hey folks, David Stewart here. So, time for, I don't know, kind of fitness content. This isn't really a fitness channel, but I just wanted to share some lessons that I learned from losing a bunch of weight. This is something that I did at this point. It's 2021, so I guess 10 years ago. I lost about 100 pounds. I'd been about 300 pounds, and I dropped down to about 200 pounds, which was pretty lean for a guy my size. I'm a little bit over 6 feet, so, how you carry your weight can vary a little bit, but I learned a lot of lessons from the process, and I learned a lot of lessons from the result as well. So I wanted to share those. These are 10 lessons I learned from losing 100 pounds. The first one, number 10, I'm going to do it in like reverse order. There is no set path. I tried a bunch of different things along the way to figure out what worked for me. Everybody is going to be trying to sell you some kind of fix-it-all program. A lot of people on the internet are trying to sell this thing or that thing to you, or just trying to get you to buy into the way that they do things. And there's nothing wrong with trying those things out. And chances are most things are going to be effective to some degree. But as you get deeper into a fitness journey, you're going to figure out what works best for you. And you're going to end up really refining your method for getting leaner, getting stronger, pursuing whatever fitness goals you happen to have. So number 10, there is no set path. Lots of people like to have arguments about you need to have this diet or that diet. You could try any diet you want, and if it's not working, you could try a different diet or a different diet approach and figure out what is going to fit your lifestyle and your goals. Number 9 is that it won't fix everything that is wrong, but it will fix lots of things in your life. Things that you are probably not even aware of and won't be aware of until you begin the process of lowering your body fat, getting into better shape, improving your looks, those sorts of things. So one of the big ones is work habits. So I wrote a whole book on called Keys to Prolific Creativity on how to manage your life so that you are doing creative work. This is really focused on people who are like me, writers, or who are musicians. I'm also a musician. You can buy this album at least. Hopefully I'll have another one coming this year. This month has been a little bit disruptive for those of you who've been following. So I did this on work habits. And if you can develop a habit of going to the gym and exercising and controlling your diet, then all of those things will be able to overflow into other things you want to accomplish in your life, like finishing a book or an album or learning to paint or learning a foreign language, anything that you want to do. So those work habits and that self-motivation that comes from being motivated to improve your fitness, that will spill over into other things and improve lots of other things with your life, including some other things I'll get to in just a minute. So number 8 is that it takes a long time. I mentioned 100 pounds. It took about 2 years to lose that. Now, knowing what I know now, or knowing what I know or knew at the end of that journey, I probably could have lost it in 1 year. But you don't know things when you start out. You really are kind of going around blind. One of the reasons that you end up obese or overweight is that you probably didn't know how to make the right kinds of choices for diet, the right kinds of choices for exercise. You didn't know how to put those things into your life, so you have to relearn them. So in the process of relearning them, you're not going to be 100% efficient. Somebody who's a skilled personal trainer and can really manage a client, be like, yeah, we're going to lose 2 pounds of body fat a week. That's not completely realistic for a long-term goal for most people because they simply don't know how to self-manage themselves that way. Unless you're working with a personal trainer and you're really committed to having them really set up your diet and you're really sticking to it, then yeah, you can do that a lot quicker. But you're hiring professional help. You're hiring somebody who has the knowledge. So it's a learning process and it is going to take a long time. It took a long time to put on the weight. It's going to take a long time to take it off. So losing 100 pounds, if you're losing 2 pounds of fat a week, which, that's kind of the rule of thumb for like what's safe to lose. You probably lose more at the beginning, less as you get leaner. It doesn't really matter, but that could take a year to get off. And that's a very, very committed short amount of time. For me, it took 2 years. So chances are wherever you arrived at, it took years to put on all the fat, and it's going to take quite a while to take all the fat off. And you just have to be okay with that. You have to commit to a long journey, just like if you were going to enroll in a university program. Same thing. I'm going to lose weight. It's going to take a while. Number 7 is you will probably rebound. So this is something that happened to me and really happens to anybody that loses weight, even if you're losing a small amount of weight. If you start off fairly lean and you get down to like really low body fat and then you have achieved that goal, then you tend to rebound. You tend to eat more because your body just doesn't want to stay super lean all the time. And for me, I got really lean, I got really, really healthy. And then my life got busier. And so the exercise, I had a really extreme exercise routine. Nothing really changed about my diet, but my exercise went down. And so I gained a little bit of weight back. And then eventually over the course of 8 years, I gained like 40 pounds. Now that's only like 5 pounds a year. That's really not much, but just same thing. It takes a long time to put it on, it takes a long time to take it off. Same idea. So you can actually end up gaining a lot of weight. Now, I didn't rebound back up to my original weight or anywhere close to it. And that's because I made a significant lifestyle change in my diet. So even though my exercise went down because my life, basically the arrangement of life changed so that I couldn't exercise the way I used to, including injuries and things like that. So I had foot injuries that happened where I couldn't do cardio for like a year, and that was a problem for me. I actually talk about it in the book, by the way. So I actually talk about that as like something I had to learn from. You go through those things, maybe you get an injury, your weight's going to rebound. As long as you have made a significant lifestyle change, it's not going to rebound so much that you're going to be back where you started. So just expect that when you're at the end of a diet, a lot of people achieve a goal and they're like, where do I go from now? And they tend to rebound a little bit, and that's not that big a deal. Once you know how to take the weight off, you can always do another diet and take that weight back off later. Number 6 is you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. Now, this is technically untrue. You could out-exercise a bad diet, but your typical person is not going to be out-exercising a bad diet, and that's because they aren't, like the Michael Phelps diet was, who was an Olympic swimmer. He'd eat like stacks of pancakes every day, like 3,000 calories worth of carbohydrates, like syrup every single day. Well, he's out-exercising. That's a bad diet. For him, he needs that energy source because he's in the pool swimming all day doing high-intensity cardiovascular exercise. That's not most people. If you're working construction, you can get away with a little bit looser diet because it's a physically intensive job. But most people are, they're sitting in an office chair looking at a computer or, standing around. They're not doing really high-intensity activity all day. So you're not going to be out exercising a bad diet. Just to put things in perspective, you can get on your bike and go for a bike ride and hit it hard and burn off 200 calories. Then you eat a candy bar. Well, so much for the cardio. As far as like your total losing weight, like reducing your calories, you can easily completely wipe out a good session of cardiovascular exercise by eating a few bad things, eating a few high calorie items that really shouldn't be present in your diet in large amounts. So yes, you could technically out-exercise a bad diet, but most people, there's no way that they're going to be able to do that because they're working jobs that aren't swimming in an Olympic pool all day. So you got to manage your diet. That's the end result. Number 5, it's actually cheaper to eat healthy than to eat unhealthy. This is something I figured out when I first fixed my diet. I was actually very, very poor. I was living on less than $1,000 a month because of a whole bunch of things that like lined up. But that meant I had to eat on the cheap, and I figured out that I could eat a bodybuilding diet on the cheap. Fresh vegetables were actually very cheap. Everything that I wanted to eat that was good for me was very cheap. Where you tend to get in trouble is doing things like eating out. Food at restaurants tastes good because it's calorie dense. There's a lot of calories in it. They cook with a lot of oil, maybe put a lot of sugar and stuff in that, especially, my favorites like Chinese food, which is, it's really easy to go to Panda Express and just eat 1,500 calories worth of food and not realize it. So when you're eating healthy, it's actually very cheap to eat healthy. There is this myth out there that somehow it's expensive to eat healthy. That's pretty much nonsense, and it's really there as a cope because there's lots of people who are low income or on the low end of the socioeconomic spectrum who are obese or overweight, and it's because high calorie food is not that much more expensive in some cases than healthy food, but healthy food is actually cheaper, and so you can eat very cheaply healthy. When I go to my grocery store, when I look at the healthy part of my basket, it's way less money than the quote unhealthy parts of my basket, the stuff that is like pizza crusts for the kids to have pizza, all that stuff. It costs way more money than what I end up eating, which is like tortillas and like vegetables and chicken, right? And if you get frozen chicken from Costco, it's very cheap. Frozen hamburgers from Costco, it's very cheap. So your protein can be very cheap, and so can your vegetables. And you can eat fresh vegetables, or you could eat frozen vegetables. A bag of like carrots and peas, frozen carrots and peas is like 35 cents. So that's really hard to eat that whole bag. So 35 cents of vegetables can go a really long way. So it's cheaper to eat healthy than to not eat healthy, but most people aren't aware of this because they're not used to buying lots of healthy foods. They don't realize that they're not that expensive, or they think, oh, well, I saw that like these Mexican papayas were like $3 a piece. That's expensive. Okay, foreign fresh fruit can be a little bit expensive, but like apples from your neighborhood grower are still like 69 cents a pound. And apples will fill you up big time. So anyway, it's cheaper to eat healthy than to not eat healthy. So dispel the myth that like, if you're poor, you can't eat healthy. You just have to figure out how to buy things in bulk and save. Number 4, little things add up big time. So this is the reason that if you are overweight or obese, you ended up being overweight and obese. It's not because you ate a chocolate cake, you binged and ate a whole chocolate cake one time. It's because you ate lots of things that were not ideal, that were a little too calorie dense over a long period of time, and they added up to a lot of weight gain. And so taking it off is the same thing. It's a bunch of little things. Instead of eating French fries all the time, you could eat a baked potato. Or cut the potato chips out of your diet, and all of a sudden you lose weight. Stop drinking juice, all of a sudden you lose weight. Switch from regular soda to like Coke Zero to the diet soda. You lose weight. All of these things add up. So making a bunch of little changes in your diet, it's really easy and it adds up big time, especially over time. So just if you drink one soda a day at 150 calories or something, if you just cut that one soda out the day and change nothing else, you'll figure out that you'll lose like 5 pounds a year just doing that. So you can do that for a bunch of little things, and all of a sudden, boom, you're taking weight off without really having to do a whole lot of effort. So it's a lot of little things. Likewise, when you are putting weight back on, it's a lot of little things. If I gain 5 pounds a year, 5 pounds is not that much. I can gain 5 pounds, in a month if I want to, really easily, just by eating slightly too much. But it's eating very slightly too much over a whole year adds up to 5 pounds of weight gain. Then you do that for 8 years, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I got a big beer gut again. We got to get rid of this. So yeah, little things add up big time. Number 3, getting closer to number 1, is you must learn to count calories. So this kind of goes against the first thing, but there's no set path. Eventually, if you are getting lean enough, you're not going to be able to avoid the reality that you have to know how much energy is going into your body. There's lots of shortcuts. People are always trying to do these different diets, these deprivation diets, basically to avoid counting calories because it's a hassle. Once you get used to counting calories, it's not that big a deal. And once you have a set diet where you know how much energy is in, it's really easy to adjust the diet. If the weight loss slows down, you just start doing a lot of more little adjustments. Eat a little less here. Replace this item with something a little bit lower calorie until you get to a calorie deficit where you can continue to lose weight. So eventually you're probably going to have to learn to count calories. I certainly did. So at the beginning I didn't. I just started making lots of little changes and I lost a lot of weight, but eventually, boom, you plateau. You're not losing any more weight. And so I was spending 2 hours a day doing cardio and barely losing weight. It's figured out if I fix the diet, like I said, you can easily demolish your exercise by not having an ideal diet. Once I started counting calories and knew exactly how much I was eating, boy, it was really easy to manage the diet after that. So eventually you're going to have to learn how to count calories. You're going to have to learn how much energy is in stuff. It's hard to know exactly how much energy is in any given thing, but weighing your food, looking at nutrition labels, going through the hassle of writing down what you eat, things like that, that will make it a lot easier. But eventually you're probably going to have to do it. It really comes down to the energy deficit, and the leaner you get, the harder it is to just say, well, I just don't eat grains or some food group that you avoided to begin your diet. You're going to have to really figure out how much calories are in things. Number 2, this is kind of the red pill thing. Most of your looks comes down to body fat. Whether you look good or you look bad, most of it is body fat. Even if you have, let's say you have, I don't know, some kind of nose that maybe you don't feel like is attractive enough. If your body fat is low, people will find you attractive. Doesn't matter that you don't have a perfect nose. If you have, a slightly asymmetrical face, if you don't like the proportions of your face, if you feel like you have an ugly face, if your body fat is low, people will still find you attractive. That's how it is. Now, you can be a little bit overweight if you have a really symmetrical, good-looking face, and you could carry it a little bit. But the truth is that it really comes down to body fat. Most of the time, if this guy's wearing a great tailored suit, what they really see is a guy who has a fit body, and the suit is revealing the fit body. It's well tailored to a fit body. It really comes down to his low body fat just as much as the suit. A really fat guy in a well-tailored suit is just a fat guy in a suit. Nobody really takes note of that. They take note of the guy in the well-tailored suit. It's because he's fit. Daniel Craig looks good in a suit because he's really, he's like shredded when he's wearing the suit. So you can see even through all those layers of clothes that his body shape is good, that he has low body fat. And you figure this out because you end up on both sides of it. You end up on the I'm fat side, and you end up on the I'm lean side, and people treat you way, way, way differently. So that comes down to number one. Looks really matter. This is the thing that I learned from losing weight, is that basically I went from getting no attention from women to getting more attention from women than I knew what to do with in a given, I lived in Las Vegas at the time. So the nightlife stuff was like night and day as far as the amount of attention, not just from women, but from other men and everybody in your life. All of a sudden you get more professional opportunities dropped in your lap because you look better. People treat you better at work because you look better. Women will slip their number to you when you're out hanging out with your friends. I had this happen. This actually happened. There was a girl like on a date with a guy, and she gave me her phone number when he was like in the bathroom because she thought I was so much more attractive than him or something, right? Like these sorts of things happen when you look really good. And it's like a different world opens up. You suddenly realize that if you're really good looking, it's like living life on easy mode. So when you take the time to look better, when you take the time to get lean, all of a sudden life is easier. Everything is is easier because everybody treats you better. This is not maybe the ideal. Like we want to see people's inner selves, other qualities besides the fact that they ate too much rich food over the course of their life. There's far worse personality defects than eating delicious food in too large a quantity. But it really comes down to looks. Looks really matter, and looks have a lot to do with your body fat. And you figure that out when you're on the other side of that. I have long hair because my wife has long hair, but like I had a good haircut. I looked really good. Everybody treated me better. Everything was easier in life. Nothing was nearly as hard as when I was fat. And I realized that a lot of those problems that I thought were some result of people being bad were really the result of me just not being attractive, not being physically attractive. And I think if you are physically attractive, it also projects a lot of confidence. So there's other more subtle social signals that go out that people are very attracted to. They're attracted to confidence. They're attracted to good looks. And they're going to assume that you're more competent as a result of that. May not be true, but that's what people assume. So the more you can improve your looks, the leaner you can get, the better you can look, the more opportunities will drop in your lap and the better things will be. That's like a hard red pill truth, but it's very true. So if you can adjust your diet and just lose a little bit of weight, you'll find that things end up better for you. Everything will end up improving across the board. It's not going to fix everything that's wrong. If you have deep things that are wrong, obviously, being lean will not fix your heart, your broken heart or something like that, but it will improve a lot of your habits and it will get people to treat you differently and better. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this little video. Hopefully it's been informative for you. Let me know what you think down below. Keys to prolific creativity. I talk about some of this stuff in this book as far as health. I think it's important to manage your health if you want to be productive over the long term, because eventually I'm not 40 yet, but I'll be 40 in a couple years here. Eventually, your body will limit your ability to be productive. So you want to take care of your body. If your body is a tank, you're going to be able to be working for a long time and be productive over a long time, which is going to produce a lot of books. I've written over a dozen books and published them. Two new fiction books, Moonsong 1 and 2. Moonsong 3's I'm fixing to work on it right after I finish this video, I guess. So City of Silver and Tyrant's Gallow. You can check these out. Book 3 will be out hopefully pretty soon here. And then I got even more fantasy stuff planned for the rest of the year. And so don't forget to check out the books at dvspress.com. You can join my mailing list at dvspress.com/list. I give away a lot of free books, so you could probably get free previews of books, and I think you do get a free novel if you sign up to the list. And I have a bunch of articles that sometimes are a little too hot for YouTube over at dvspress.com, so you can check those out as well. And I will see you guys next time.